In today's video, I'm talking about something that's really important for a lot of people. Whether you're here because you have IBS or SIBO or IBD or GERD, the thing that I'm going to be talking about today is probably relevant for you, and it might be super duper important in your healing journey. And obviously, you read the title of this video. We're going to be talking about low stomach acid symptoms. Because, guys, I had the realization I have a lot of videos on this channel about how to do the butane HCl challenge, how to test for low stomach acid at home, how to boost your stomach acid naturally, but I have yet to do a video covering the symptoms of low stomach acid. So, without further ado, how do you know if you have low stomach acid? Before we talk about symptoms, I am going to pause here to say there's not really a great test for this. I mean, there is the Heidelberg test, and there's some pH sensing capsules that are coming out now, but really, we don't have access to a really user friendly outpatient in home kind of test like we might have for breath testing or stool testing. So, a lot of us are at the mercy of listening to our bodies, listening to our symptoms, and just kind of experimenting with things at home. Now, there's also something to be said here that we probably don't have a lot of good testing options for this because there's no money to be had in correcting this problem. There are millions and millions of dollars every year spent on medications like Prilosec, omeprazole, Protonix, and that is why we have a lot of research funding going towards those highly profitable, very popular medications. And honestly, they carry some side effects and some risk, and we need to study to understand what those risks are. But there's really no money to be had in trying to boost your stomach acid. We don't have like the Apple Cider Vinegar Lobbyists Association of America who's willing to put up a few $1,000,000 to research this. So we're sort of at the mercy of trying things at home, but also this conversation is going to be largely clinically based, meaning I don't have a lot of PubMed studies that I could cite here that really point a hard finger at these symptoms being due to low stomach acid. But what I can share is that I have worked with people for many years and I have tried things like butane HCl and I've treated people with these remedies for many, many years. And I've seen it tremendously help symptoms in a lot of my patients. So I'm happy to share my clinical experience here with you today. And others have shared their clinical experience with me prior to even hitting record today. So, with that being said, let's get into the symptoms. So, first off, I'm going to share a few very non-specific symptoms of low stomach acid. I say they're non-specific because you could have these symptoms for a number of different reasons. But as I mentioned in the beginning, IBS and SIBO conjures up images of bloating, abdominal pain, diarrhea, and constipation. And yes, I have seen low stomach acid be a major, major factor in these symptoms for people. It's the damnedest thing. I've seen people with diarrhea and the diarrhea gets significantly better or is cured with something like butane HCl. But I've also seen constipation be greatly helped or potentially cured by low stomach acid support. So I don't think that it's a hard and fast rule that low stomach acid always presents the same way or always does the same thing. I think it depends on the person's genetics, their lifestyle, their nutrition, their microbiome, and it can manifest in different ways in different people. But to start us off, as I said, for all that you could have bloating for a million different reasons, or you could be constipated for a million different reasons, I have seen butane HCl and low stomach acid supportive tools be really helpful for all of those symptoms. But I think that probably is not super exciting to you right now. You're like, all right, that's cool, man. But what are the really specific symptoms? Like, what are the slam dunk home run things that if I have them, I could be reasonably sure that this is a big deal for me? So, without further ado, the more specific symptoms of low stomach acid are things like indigestion, right? Like that. Oh, how do you even describe indigestion? Like almost like queasiness, fullness, blah, like just, I don't know, like a indigestion feeling. I don't know how to describe it. Also, excessive burping and belching after meals. Now, as a side note, I think that this can be due to poor motility as well. I have seen that happen clinically. But, if you're burping more than a time or two from a meal and you're not drinking something carbonated like soda or kombucha, that can be an indication that you're not digesting your food very well, and that could be linked to low stomach acid. So excessive burping and belching after a meal is one of the classics. Also, because we need stomach acid to digest our protein and to really break down our food before it enters the small bowel, I frequently see people report that they have a really hard time digesting meat until they supplement with something like betaine HCl. Magically, you take a food that needs acid to be broken down, and then you give the person more acid, and then magically they can digest that food better. Makes perfect sense. And it makes you wonder how many people go vegetarian or vegan because they feel like meat is hard to digest, when in actuality, the problem was that they just had low stomach acid in the first place. Food for thought. Now, my personal favorite symptom to talk about in this symptom parade, and I think probably the most specific one that I have seen, is what I call the brick. So, no, you're not another brick in a wall, but what I'm talking about is this feeling like your food just sits like a brick of lead in your gullet and it's not going anywhere. This kind of goes with the indigestion idea, by the way, but they're, in my mind, a little bit separate. But it's like, all right, you eat your food and then it just sits there. And again, it's like a brick of lead. It's like a heavy feeling. The food's not moving. It's not digesting. That kind of a feeling, that brick of lead feeling, is one of the biggest classic dead ringers for low stomach acid, in my humble opinion. If I hear that kind of description from somebody, I'm immediately thinking low stomach acid until proven otherwise. Possibly related, because that brick of lead, that feeling like the food's not moving, could be related to slow gastric emptying or even something overt like gastroparesis. So similarly, if you have had a gastric emptying study and you were diagnosed with gastroparesis, or maybe you were on that borderline between normal and gastroparesis, like a subclinical case, I think that can also be due to low stomach acid. And the rationale I have used for years at least is that you need stomach acid to digest your food. And you need to digest your food before you allow it to exit the stomach. So it could be that the stomach is hanging onto its contents for a lot longer in hopes that it can finally digest that food that it's struggling to digest. So similarly, bada bing, bada boom, you give that person additional acid, or you correct the stomach pH, and stomach emptying issues and gastroparesis can in fact go away. Pretty cool stuff. And then, of course, another classic symptom is if you have taken a lot of PPIs or H2 blockers or Tums, if you have intentionally suppressed your stomach acid, you probably have had low stomach acid. Obviously, if you're currently taking those medications, that's a no-brainer. I do think also that what can happen is that people can get GERD, which ironically can sometimes be caused by low stomach acid. I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but that can be a factor here. But ironically, you can have GERD and then you go on these medications for GERD and then it makes the low stomach acid worse. And then it's almost like your stomach can forget how to make acid after a while if you're on those medications. And I think it's possible that even if you had prior use of these acid suppressing medications, it's actually possible that that has still lingered a little bit for you and your stomach acidity never really rebounded to where it needed to be, even after cutting those medications out. So even having a history of using those medications might be an indication that you have low stomach acid. Now, you can notice all of the symptoms that I just rattled off are particularly focused on the digestive tract. And that's with good reason. We need stomach acid to digest our food. We need stomach acid to regulate our motility and our MMC. It's a really big part of the digestive process. However, I will also share with you, if you have real bona fide nutritional deficiencies, despite adequate intake, some of those might be linked with or caused by low stomach acid. And classically, we can look to the nutrients that are impaired or reduced by taking things like PPIs. So PPI drugs, for example, things like Nexium, omeprazole, Protonix, that sort of stuff. These proton pump inhibitor drugs are known to cause deficiency in nutrients like calcium, magnesium, vitamin B12, and iron. So if you have a deficiency in one or more of those nutrients, despite honest to goodness, adequate intake, and I don't mean like you think that you eat those things, Or I don't mean, well, you take a bajillion supplements, so you should get those things. I mean, you've done nutritional tracking with something like Chronometer, which is a free app, and you have tracked your nutrition or worked with a dietitian enough that you know definitively you consume these nutrients at least at the recommended daily level, and you're still deficient. That's a pattern of low stomach acid until proven otherwise, in my humble opinion. But as I've mentioned on this channel previously, almost all nutritional deficiencies that I see are due to inadequate intake. So don't jump to the stomach acid thing right away. I know it's cool and sexy and it sounds like you're smoking gun, but you gotta prove that you have adequate intake first, primarily through food, before you jump to the malabsorption, maldigestion kind of a thing. But iron, calcium, magnesium, B12, these things can certainly be related to low stomach acid. And as a matter of fact, I have another video coming out probably towards the end of the year on that exact topic. And I'm really, really pumped to share that one with you. But I'll leave you in suspense until then. If I'm being quite honest, the reason I made this video is not only because I had this epiphany that I had not created it yet, but also I'm seeing such phenomenal results using betaine HCl in my students in FODMAP Freedom. That's part of the curriculum. And I walk you through how to do the betaine HCl challenge, how to do it safely, how to determine what your maintenance dose is, if it helps you at all, and how to get off of it eventually and make your own dank stomach acid. And I'm just seeing such cool results. I'm talking about like people who are pooping better, bloating is significantly reduced. They're introducing foods that they weren't able to introduce for a long time, like high FODMAP foods. Their motility is running better. That feeling like the indigestion or the brick of lead is gone, and they're able to eat more food because they don't have this weird post-meal fullness from eating 2 bites of food. It's really amazing what this can do. And if you feel like, all right, this is really neat, but I don't even know where to start and I need somebody to hold my hand, I would really encourage you to check out FODMAP Freedom and perhaps join us when we enroll again. So in 2024, we're going to be opening enrollment in January, April, if I remember correctly, and August. So come check us out. You could join the wait list down at the link below. There's no obligation. There's no pressure. You just give me your email and you'll be the first to know when we open our doors again. And I would love to help you not only learn about stomach acid, but so much more inside of FODMAP Freedom and make 2024 the year that you kick these GI symptoms to the curb. And frankly, the year that you no longer have to watch YouTube videos like mine because you feel better. Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, click the like button, and leave a comment down below with the videos that you would like to see me do next. Doing all of those really helps support the channel and support my efforts in making as many videos as possible for you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.